So federal police are essentially investigating whether overseas actors may have paid criminals in Australia to carry out some of these anti-Semitic attacks we've been seeing. The ABC understands that the Australian Federal Police strongly believes that some payments may have been made, but as to who's behind them and their motivation, that is still unclear. We do know, though, that authorities haven't yet found any links to foreign governments nor to any foreign terrorist organisation. There have been at least 8 serious incidents of anti-Semitism over the past 3 months in Sydney and Melbourne, and at this stage there have been no links found between each of those. The Australian Federal Police Commissioner Reece Kershaw has described this investigation as an incredibly complex one and ultimately says they're not ruling out anything at this stage.
The AFP's investigative lines of inquiry are looking at whether some individuals have been paid to carry out some anti-Semitic acts in Australia. We believe criminals for hire may be behind some incidents. So part of our inquiries include who is paying those criminals, where those people are, whether they are in Australia or offshore, and what their motivation is.
Sources have told the ABC that Commissioner Kershaw's mentioning there of overseas links has caused a bit of frustration in intelligence circles as well as state enforcement authorities. Ultimately, though, we know the government's been under enormous pressure over this issue, both from the coalition as well as the Israeli government, who argue that it's been too slow to respond and clamp down on these incidents of anti-Semitism. We did hear from the opposition leader Peter Dutton earlier today, and he essentially has called on the Prime Minister to be more forthright about the intelligence he's receiving.
When did the Prime Minister find out that there were foreign players? Are these state actors, or are they organised crime groups, or are they anti-Semitic groups? What did the Prime Minister know? And frankly, it just shines a spotlight on the fact that the Commonwealth Government should have deployed resources much earlier to what is a rolling series of terrorist incidents in our country.
And what reaction has there been from the community?
Well, essentially, there's been calls for social cohesion. We saw a joint statement earlier today from the Australian Federation of Islamic Councils, Human Rights Watch and the Jewish Council of Australia. As you'll see here, they're calling on politicians not to politicise this issue. They say political leaders should condemn recent hate crimes and acts of discrimination. However, they should not seek to politicise racist attacks for political gain, nor should political leaders cause further community division or vilification in their response to attacks. Human rights protection should not devolve into a game of political point scoring. Now, the government is going to consider legislation to crack down on hate speech when it returns to Parliament in February, and these same groups have been arguing that any legislation puts forward needs to be legitimate, necessary and proportionate. There is one caveat, though, to that sitting week. It won't happen, of course, if Anthony Albanese decides to call an election.